Hey everybody, West Texas Stacker here. How y'all doing? Hope everybody's good. Wow, what a weekend, huh? Picked up it's my first maple, my little 1/10 ounce gold maple right there. Fractional gold, 1/10 ounce. What a great way to get into the gold game, huh? Especially with prices the way they are. Save your money, get these little 10th ounces. They run pretty close to about the same as a 10 ounce bar silver. Anyhow, hey, I wanted to talk a little bit about the history of gold. And we all know the history goes way back, right? Let's talk about the North American history of gold. And it doesn't always come with the positive light. There's quite a bit of negatives that came with it. So let's dive right into this. So the first documented discovery in the United States was in North Carolina, specifically at the Reed Gold Mine. In 1799, a 12-year-old boy, Conrad Reed, found a large gold nugget in a creek. The discovery sparked the first gold rush in the U.S., known as the Carolina Gold Rush. I didn't know that. I didn't know there was that much gold on the East Coast, really, to tell you the truth. I mean, up there in the Appalachians, I'm sure there is, and back then it was probably plentiful. And that just kind of sparked it from there, I mean, gold has always been a sought after precious metal. It's highly sought after due to its rarity, its versatility, and the role as a store of value and a hedge against inflation. Well, back then, I'm not too sure they knew about a hedge against inflation, but they knew that it had an inherent value. Its unique properties, its luster, durability, and its resistant to corrosion. All this has contributed to its value. It fuels its value. And I'm just not talking about the geopolitical value and all that. The stocks, the paper stocks in it, and that stuff. I'm just talking about 1799. Here's this yellow rock. It's pretty, and it's worth something. And this was, it's obviously it's good in jewelry, it's good in technology, and it's a safe haven set during economic instability. That all kind of furthers its value along. And those are all positives, right? But let's not forget what the U.S. government did to the natives, to the first peoples of this nation. I'm sure that when it was discovered in North Carolina, it came with dispersing people off of their land. And of course, then you had the California gold rush. We all know about that. And the Treaty of Fort Laramie. It was designated that the Black Hills part of the Great Sioux Nation was a broken treaty. The U.S. government violated the treaty after gold was discovered in the Black Hills, leading to the seizure of land. So, in the Treaty of Fort Laramie in 1868, the U.S. government had talked Chief Red Cloud into ending the Sioux Wars. And a part of this treaty, that they were going to be placed on the reservation, they were going to be able to keep the Black Hills. The Black Hills have always been sacred to the Sioux Nation. They're still sacred. But settlers would wagon trains would go through, and they discovered gold in the Black Hills. And of course, they didn't like that. And there were some skirmishes between the people going into the Black Hills and the Sioux. And then the U.S. government got involved, and they ended up seizing the Black Hills purely for gold. I mean, how would that feel? You're told you have to be confined to a reservation, and a part of it, though, we will give you these Black Hills, this sacred piece of land. And next thing you know, a yellow rock is discovered, which, as far as I've heard, in those days, gold didn't hold much value to the Sioux. It was a yellow rock. But to the settlers and the people trespassing, because that's what they were doing, they were trespassing on stolen land, and they were taking the gold. And like I said, the government didn't like it and took the land over. How sad. It's still disputed to this day. I mean, this is all the things that we have done for gold. We have pushed people off their land. We have made it a thing of greed. Now, it's not all a thing of greed, but back then it was a thing of greed. Gold made this nation rich. This was before oil was discovered. The Yukon Gold Rush. I mean, people just biting at the bit to go up into these mountains and get this gold, with no regards as to the people who already had claim to this land. It's a real touchy subject with me, and I just, it was not a good thing. The treaty was signed between the United States government and various Lakota, Dakota, and Nakota Sioux tribes, as well as Arapaho Nation. It established the Great Sioux Reservation, which included the Black Hills. In 1874, gold was discovered in the Black Hills, sparking a rush of miners and settlers into the area. The U.S. government violated the terms of the treaty by allowing the miners to enter the Black Hills despite its designation as Sioux territory. In 1877, the U.S. government forcibly removed the Sioux from the Black Hills and incorporated the land into the Dakota Territory, which later became South Dakota. The seizure of the Black Hills remains a significant source of contention and legal challenges between the U.S. government and the Sioux nations. In 1980, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the Black Hills were illegally confiscated and the Sioux were awarded monetary compensation. However, the Sioux Nation has largely rejected the compensation, citing sacredness of the land and its inability to be bought or sold. The Sioux Nation continues to advocate for the return of the Black Hills and the recognition of their treaty rights. So to this day, they have no rights to the Black Hills, a sacred land stolen for a precious little yellow rock. And I'm sure if we look throughout history, there's hundreds and thousands of cases just like this. From the discovery of gold and silver, silver's probably one of them too, all the way until today. There's a big history behind this. And like I said, it's not always positive. So this is just a little bit of what the U.S. did in the Dakotas. I hope y'all enjoyed this. I could delve a little bit deeper into it, but it'll make me emotional. So Semper Fi, God bless. Enjoy stacking gold that's going to benefit us. But don't forget the struggles that other people have made because of it.